Hello, everyone. Hi, Grizzlies. Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gisela K. Today, there's a different type of court hearing for a different case. So I know everybody's focusing on the Idaho 4, but the Delphi case is one we followed for a long time, and Richard Allen is back in court today. So we're going to look at that. I'm going to start by showing you his arrival this morning, and then we'll go over some documents and things like that. This would be him. What I showed you now in the intro was his previous time in court, okay? Thank you so much. Please hit the thumbs up as well. Share the video. Hashtag Delphi and hashtag Grizzly True Crime would be great as well. You can also say hashtag Abby and Libby or Justice for Abby and Libby. So this is him arriving now this morning. The hearing is not going to be live streamed. There's no cameras in the court either. There's just people in the court. And then reporters are going to come out afterwards, like last time, and update us on Twitter. So that's pretty much what we're waiting for. But in the meantime, I do have the discovery docs and things like that to read to you, which has got a lot of information. So lots to work through, as always. All right. So let's play this for you so that you can see him arrive in court, which was just a few minutes ago. Here you go. The sound's not very loud. Here he comes. We pause it. Let's pause it and go back here and just look at him from the side. There he is. So I hope that you guys, I did do a poll, and most of you are aware of this case. So we're looking at the Delphi case, the murders of Abby and Libby. They were murdered in February of 2017, February 13th, 2017. And yeah, of course, today is January, Friday the 13th, 2023, where Richard Allen is back in court for a pre-trial hearing. So we'll discuss everything that's going to happen in court today. I just quickly want to first show you this video right here. Yeah, the beard is gone.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you! Shame on you, Richard! You're going to prison for the rest of your life! Shame on you, Richard Allen!
So that's all we really see of him. I mean, the rest is just people walking around. So if you want to see it one more time, you know, when reporters are like, "Why did you do it? Why did you do it?" Do they think they're gonna ask at all? So there you go. Sure.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you! Shame on you, Richard! You're going to prison for the rest of your life! Shame on you, Richard Allen!
Here's Tobe Lesenby, everyone. Okay, so I'm guessing some of you might want just a little bit of a recap. So let's just quickly do a very quick one. Hold on one second. I've got all kinds of things pinned here for you. As always, the best place to go, and I'm going to link this for you, for a timeline on this Delphi case, if you have never heard of it, okay, is this Actus Reus Delphi timeline link. It's really great. They updated it all along the way throughout the years to present day, so it's really great. So I'll just show you some of this in case you just want a little recap. For those of you who know the case really well, just bear with me here. Then we're going to look at the documents and things like that. Mama Bear says, you were amazing on Popcorn Planet. Thank you so much. Yes, you guys. I was on Popcorn Planet yesterday. So if you go check out the episode about Coburger, I was on there from around the 35-minute timestamp mark. So you can go see me there. I was on for quite some time discussing the case. So if you missed it, go check it out. Okay. So Delphi timeline. So on Sunday, February 12th, 2017, Liberty German, 14 years old, and Abigail Williams, 13 years old, decided to have a sleepover at Libby's house, knowing that they did not have school the next day. It was a snow day, okay? So there was no school on Monday due to the snow days being built into the school schedule, but the winter being too mild that year for the snow days to get used. The girls do typical sleepover activities, and Libby's older sister, Kelsey, joins in. And then Kelsey said they had a movie night and ate pizza. So Abigail, called Abby, and Liberty, called Libby, stay up late and they paint a sign that says chocolate and take videos of each other just being goofy, like a 13 and 14-year-old would. And then on Monday, February 13th, 2017, and if you guys, I just want to say, if you missed any of my Delphi coverage, because there's a lot of new people here on my channel that subscribed recently, during the Idaho case and all that, I would recommend looking at my playlist because we've done a deep dive on this case and you can catch up a lot there as well. This is just a brief overview with the new court updates from today. So they say, by the way, just calculate in your mind, if you don't know about this case, this is from 2013. So just think about the amount of patience it took, okay, to have a suspect arrested. And that is, they had photos, videos, from a video still, okay. So they actually had video, they had audio of the guy saying, guys, down the hill, and all of that. And still, it took almost 6 years to arrest the suspect. So when people were like in the Idaho case, what is going on? What is law enforcement doing? Why haven't they caught him yet? I'm like, whoa, but just remember Delphi though, And it's never too late. It can change in a day. And they did arrest a suspect. So, Katie, I'm laughing at your comment. Okay, so they say, at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? The girls sleep in because they'd been up late. And then Libby's father, Derek, makes them pancakes for breakfast. Derek leaves to go take photos for Becky's business. And don't worry, I won't go over this entire website. I'm going to link it rather. I'm just giving you a brief intro, okay? Just for those who just need to warm up a little bit. So they had pancakes for breakfast. And then Derek leaves to go and take photos for Becky's business. Now, Libby's grandmother, Becky, she's done lots of interviews. She's very active on Twitter, makes a deal with the girls. She says if the girls help with her filing work, she'll give them some spending money. And maybe later on that day, she'll take them out shopping to go spend the money that they just earned. The girls happily help with Becky's filing. Now, we've also done a map time, looked at the Monon High Bridge, Deer Creek, and surprisingly, the suspect they arrested lived so close to this. Like within a 3-mile radius, everything. He worked at the CVS in Delphi. He lived right there, right across from the school as well. It was like incredible when they arrested who they believe is Bridge Guy. Now, at midday, a suspicious vehicle is parked at an abandoned CPS or DCS building on the east side of the County Road 300 North, next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway. At 1 o'clock, the girls ask Libby's grandmother, Becky, if they could go to the Monon High Bridge Trail. Becky says yes, but only if they were able to arrange for a ride there and a ride back. The trail is considered to be a hangout for local teens their age. The girls were familiar with the Monon Bridge, and Libby would often visit the trail with her older sister to take photos, and I believe they did some geocaching there in the past as well. The girls then ask Libby's older sister, Kelsey, to drive them. Kelsey says she can drive them there, but she cannot drive them back because she had plans to go to a friend's house and then work. Libby called and asked her dad, Derek, if he could give them a ride back from the trail since Kelsey was unavailable. Derek agrees to be their ride back from the trail. He said he'd pick them up once he was done taking photos for Becky's appraisal business. He estimated that he would be done with his photography work in Frankfurt in 2 hours. There was no set time for the girls to return to the meeting point, but the plan was that Derek would call them or text them on his drive when he was close to arriving, and they would return to the trailhead to be picked up. Okay, so it was around 3 or 3:30. And then at 1:30, Kelsey picks up the girls to take them to the bridge, and at 1:38, they say they were dropped off. Now, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit just to show you this quickly. This is the Monon High Bridge, and we've looked at lots of videos, even from the channel Hoosier Cold Cases. Go check that out as well. This was the last picture taken, uploaded to Snapchat, that Libby German, one of the victims, took of Abby. Libby uploads a picture of Abby walking on the bridge. That was at 2:07 p.m. And here we go. This is what I want to show you. This is the video they had. And then later, law enforcement released the audio, guys, down the hill. And that's all we had. First, we had down the hill. And then a year later, guys, down the hill. So it was unbelievable. This case is unbelievable because 2 teenagers, it's a double homicide. Their autopsies have never been released publicly. So those details are not known, okay? But they had video, they had audio, double homicide in a small town, Delphi, Indiana. And it took so long to arrest a suspect. They did that last year, which was incredible to see that. I just want to see. Oh, my bad. Okay, so they go up to 2017 here, and then we go on from there. Okay, so let's quickly do this. So what happened here is that this guy, Richard Allen, his home was searched on October 13th, 2022 for 12 hours. Law enforcement looked in the flower bed, the shed, and the fire pit. They were seen carrying out a shoebox with dark cloth, a stack of, I wrote think books, but I mean thin books. Think books would be amazing though. Thin books and a Macy's bag. He was then detained at the Carroll County Jail on October 26th and arrested on October 28th, 2022, 13 days after the search of his home. So they obviously took stuff back to the lab, tested it, and then arrested him. And then he was charged with 2 counts of murder. Now, we've done a deep dive on exactly what those charges mean. Okay, so look at those episodes rather than me explaining it all again. Then the probable cause affidavit was sealed and then eventually released. So that was also a huge deal in this case. And we went over the whole thing. We read it all on this channel. And we had cop facts on the channel. If you didn't see that, check that out as well. Going over that probable cause affidavit. He pleaded not guilty without the presence of a lawyer and said he'd be seeking his own private legal counsel. Then, on October 28th, 2022, he was transferred to the White County Jail, where he was held without bond. On Monday, October 31st, the ISP held a press conference to announce the arrest of Richard M. Allen in connection with the Delphi murders. In that one, we watched it together, and then I also uploaded a sniffle-free version for you. If you know, you know. Then they say the clock on his constitutional right is ticking. I'm just giving you a background, okay? On November 2nd, Sheriff Tobe Lesenby requested for Richard Allen to be transferred to a more secure state facility. And then on November 3rd, Judge Diener granted this request. And on the same day, this judge recused himself from the case, which was a huge deal. Richard Allen was transferred to an undisclosed Indiana Department of Corrections state facility where he is segregated from other prisoners for his own safety. The red suit as per Indiana code for restricted housing inmates. See, there's similarities here with the Brian Koberger stuff, like, ooh, segregated, all top secret, like what is he doing, what's happening, and of course, all these hearings and things. So they say, of course, it's now the next phase of the investigation, right? Richard Allen has until November 17th to inform the court about the status of hiring his own attorney. He wrote a letter throwing himself at the mercy of the court and then was assigned a public defender, a team, right? So we've looked at that as well before, just giving you a brief overview. I just want to see if I've got their names on this presentation. Okay, there's a hearing on November 22nd where the judge will decide whether the probable cause affidavit will remain sealed, and it was unsealed. And then we went over it. Okay, and we've got all of that. Okay, so the tip line is still open. So if you know anything about Richard Allen, please still submit tips because it could help the case. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Now, what I want to tell you, this is a really great breakdown of what's happening today. So what's happening today in this case? They have a suspect, Richard Allen. He has a defense team. The probable cause affidavit was unsealed. What to know about Friday's hearing in the Delphi murder case today? Carroll County. A judge will tackle several issues during a pair of hearings on Friday related to the Delphi murder case. The one is at 10, the one's at 11. Okay, Delphi, Indiana time. So that's happening right now. But as I said, there's no cameras allowed in court, no live streaming. So we won't be seeing that. But as we did last time, there will be reporters outside afterwards updating us. All right, so then they say, Indiana State Police announced the arrest of Richard Allen on October 31st. It's very spooky dates. I'm not superstitious, but it's like, ooh, they announced it on Halloween. And here we are on Friday the 13th. Like, damn. Okay, he's charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German, whose bodies were found on February 14th, 2017. After the girls went for a walk on the Delphi historic trails, family members reported them missing after they failed to arrive at a prearranged meeting place on February 13th. Police didn't make an arrest in the case for more than 5 years, almost 6. The murders garnered national attention, with true crime enthusiasts trading theories online as investigators searched for the girl's killer. Evidence released to the public included a grainy photo of the suspect and a voice recording down the hill, which fueled online speculation, as did a pair of composite sketches. Don't get me started on those sketches, though. Those sketches were confusing as hell. Here's a sketch. Here's another sketch that looks completely different and 20 years younger, just about. Remember that? Defense attorneys and prosecutors will appear in court today as Judge Fran Gull, the new judge, because the previous one recused himself, and Allen County judge assigned to the case, okay, after the original one recused himself, considers several issues related to the case. Here's what we know about the proceedings. And thank you to Fox 59 for sharing this lovely breakdown. Will Richard Allen appear in court? Allen is expected to appear in person, that's why we saw him arriving, at Friday's hearing in Carroll Circuit Court. The public got its first look at Allen during his court appearance on November 22nd. During that 30-minute hearing, Gull heard a motion from Allen's attorneys for a bail hearing. So prosecutors argued that the probable cause affidavit should remain sealed. Gull took it under advisement and ultimately decided to release a redacted version of the document. If you, again, look through my Delphi playlist, you'll find that me reading through the whole thing for you. Which issues will the judge consider on Friday? That's today. There are 4 considerations for today, okay? 4 attorneys during Friday's court proceedings. Gull is expected to hear arguments on a gag order, a change of venue, which is very likely, a broad discovery request from the defense, and another defense request for additional funding for investigators. That additional funding hearing is the one that's the second hearing at 11 o'clock Delphi, Indiana time. The first one is to address those first 3 things: a gag order, a change of venue, and a broad discovery request. So what's happening with the gag order? Carroll County prosecutor Nick McClelland filed a motion for a gag order during the November 22nd hearing. Gull didn't immediately rule on the motion, although she eventually approved a preliminary gag order that barred anyone associated with the case from talking about it until the January 13th hearing. So we're not hearing from Doug Carter anymore or the family members or anything because there's this gag order, right? It went into effect on December 2nd. The gag order barred anyone associated with the case, including Allen, his defense attorneys, prosecutors, family members, court staff, law enforcement, from making extrajudicial statements to the public. It came after Allen's attorneys issued a press release speaking out against the evidence cited in the probable cause affidavit released at the end of November. So what's happening with the change of venue? Allen's defense team filed a change of venue request in November to move the trial away from Carroll County. His attorneys cited extensive media attention and the highly publicized nature of the case from its inception through Allen's arrest. The case has received extensive local, statewide, and national, and I always say, and international coverage. Podcasts and social media have also extended its reach. There you go. They're asking the court to move the proceedings out of Carroll County, suggesting that moving at least 150 miles away would ease concerns about a tainted jury pool. Delphi is relatively small sized, relatively small. It's tiny. 3,000 residents. Think of Moscow, Idaho. That's 26,000. Delphi, Indiana, 3,000 residents. Okay, so for those that missed it, because Alicia's asking what I just answered 5 minutes ago, just to make sure that you're all on the same page, the hearing is happening right now and cameras will not be live. There's no live streaming. There's no cameras in the courtroom. There's only going to be reporters afterwards outside. So they're taking notes inside and afterwards they're going to be updating us. There's a hearing happening right now that happened since 20 minutes ago. And there's another one on the hour for this ex parte extra funding hearing. Okay. So thank you for being here, everyone. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that you like the video, share, hashtag Delphi, hashtag Grizzly True Crime would be great. Okay, so they say, what's happening with the discovery request? On December 30th, Allen's attorneys filed a discovery request seeking a trove of information. And I've got that document, okay? So we can go over it. The lengthy supplemental motion for discovery and request for Rule 404 and Rule 405 evidence filed on December 30th seeks the names and addresses of all witnesses involved in the case, including recorded or transcribed statements. Allen's attorneys also want the names and addresses of individuals who may have knowledge of the case but aren't being called as witnesses by the state. The motion includes 29 components. It seeks everything from phone records and cell phone location data to written reports and witness accounts connected to the case, along with any investigatory information obtained by law enforcement. So, what's happening with the request for funding investigators? Because he's got public defenders. Allen's attorneys requested additional funding for investigators as they work to prepare the defense case for their client. In court documents filed in December, his attorney said he couldn't afford the costs of representation and associated expenses. They're seeking money to pay for expert witnesses, transcript fees, and investigator costs so that we'll represent this guy, but you're going to pay up. Obviously. The attorneys asked that their hearing and associated filings be kept under seal, arguing that revealing the information in public could jeopardize their case. The judge granted the request to keep the motions and hearings associated with the public funds sealed. So when are the hearings? The proceedings are scheduled for today, 10 a.m. Delphi, Indiana time. So this started 22 minutes ago on Friday, January 13th at the Carroll County Circuit Court. Judge Gull is expected to hear the motions on the change of venue, the gag order, and discovery requests at that time. The public and media will be able to attend the proceedings, although, like last time, seating will be limited and electronic devices are strictly prohibited. Another hearing will follow at 11 a.m., according to a court order issued by Gull on January 9th. The hearing will involve the motion on the public funding for investigators. Those proceedings are confidential and will be closed to the public. And what's next in the case? Allen has been held without bond since his arrest. His attorneys requested a bail hearing during the November 22nd hearing, saying that they'd read the probable cause affidavit and they'd read it, and saw no evidence of proof or strong presumption of guilt. They're asking Allen to be released on his own recognizance or to have a reasonable bail. All right. So, Biffany says 2 times catching up. Yes, and Anna says, not unusual. Those fees need to be covered for him to have a proper trial and not risk any sort of ineffective counsel. Exactly. Okay, so that is what we have. Positive Vibe says, haven't heard about this case. Thank you for being here and listening to the updates on the case. It's a case from 2017 that was unsolved, but not a cold case until they arrested someone in October 2022. That was quite something. 5.5 years later. What a moment that was. Okay, so what I want to do now is show you that document. You just quickly see, I think this is the same sort of update. Yeah, this is the man that they arrested, Richard Allen. How do we click on this? This guy. And that's him going to court. This is a picture of the victims, Abby and Libby. Okay, just so you could see, in case you don't know. Betty says, Gad nabbit, just watching a Grizzly live stream and my boss decides to give me work to do. I mean, the audacity of that boss, right? Okay. So this is where we're at with that. What I quickly want to do is, before I go to the documents, I just quickly want to check Twitter over here. So here, Barbara McDonald said, one of the lead reporters and from the Down the Hill podcast, which is a great podcast to catch up on the case if you haven't heard it yet, the man charged with killing Abby and Libby will be in court tomorrow at 10 a.m. Issues on the public agenda are gag order, change of venue. The 11 a.m. hearing is private. Decorum order for courtroom behavior attached. So they've got that as well. Okay. So, and then let's just quickly look here. Samantha Johnson is there too, saying, good morning from Delphi. This is where Richard Allen is due back in court this morning at 10. 2 questions for Judge Gull. Will this case be moved out of Carroll County and will everyone involved remain under a gag order? I'll be inside the courtroom at 10. So this is the courtroom. Beautiful building. If you know me at all, especially from Patreon, you know I love architecture. So this is a very beautiful building, and this is where he's at. This is what's happening. And they were there from early. So I'm monitoring what Samantha Johnson is saying as well. So Richard Nye will be joining me for the hearing. He'll have live updates at 13 News at noon. Okay, so we've got that. And we've also got this reporter that I'm following. Michael, I don't want to say his surname wrong. Van Schoik. Richard Allen is now being walked inside the Carroll County Courthouse ahead of a pair of court hearings this morning. Shouts from the crowd could be heard. Shame on you, Richard Allen. The proceedings will start at 10 o'clock. And here they also say 2 hours ago, Richard Allen will appear in court in Carroll County this morning. He's accused of killing Libby German and Abby Williams in 2017. Law enforcement have already done a few sweeps of the building ahead of today's proceedings. We are now waiting for his arrival. Okay, so let's look there. And welcome to all the new members. Thank you all for being here. Let me just check. Are we still? Yeah, we're still good. We're still good. Okay. And here's another picture. I just quickly want to see something. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. So that's where they're all in. Lots of security, of course, and everything. So now let's look at this, which is this document right here. They say supplemental motion for discovery and request for Rule 404 and 405 evidence. So motion for discovery and request. And then I've also got the response right here. So let's see how many points. I just want to see how many points there are again. 29 points. And just matchy over here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So we can do it like that. All right. Just hold on 1 second. I just quickly want to make sure my camera doesn't flicker like that. I'm trying to make it not do that. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Yes, it's currently 10:28 there. So it's happening right now. So we are here together going over these documents. And then I will update you as soon as WTHR is updated as well. I'm monitoring all these screens and all these updates. So we'll have a look. As soon as there's updates, I will be on it. And if you see anything before me, email it to me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. So here they say the defense filed this, right? So State of Indiana versus Richard M. Allen, supplemental motion for discovery and request for Rule 404 and 405 evidence. The defendant by counsel moves the State of Indiana to produce the following with regard to the above captioned cause of action, to wit. 1. The names and last known addresses of persons whom the State of Indiana intends to call as witnesses, together with their written statements, recorded or taped statements, videotape statements, memoranda containing substantially verbatim reports of their oral statements, and memoranda reporting or summarizing their oral statements, including but not limited to any person referred to as a confidential informant who offered up information that may lead to the discovery of relevant information in this cause. Interesting language, including but not limited to. It's just, I think it's standard to say these kinds of things in these legal documents from what I gather. Let's see the response, because this is State of Indiana versus Richard M. Allen, the state's response to the supplemental motion. Okay, so that's what this is. Let's zoom in. And their response to what I just read was, discovery is automatic per the Carroll County local rules, and this information will be forwarded to the defense as part of discovery. Okay? Number 2, the names and last known addresses of persons known by the State of Indiana to have knowledge pertinent to this cause of action, but who the State of Indiana does not intend to call as witnesses. So let's see the response from the state. They say this information will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery per local. Now you can see from 1 all the way up to number 5, the answer is the same, that this information will be forwarded to the defense as part of discovery per local rule. They asked, they're receiving. Okay. Caroline, confidential informant versus well-known motor mouth. A motor mouth. He's saying everything. Who was that one? We don't know. Okay, so 1 to 5. So we read 1, 2. Number 3, any and all written, recorded statements and the substance of any oral statements made by the accused or by any person alleging statements made by the defendant, regardless of whether the state of Indiana intends to call such persons as witnesses or indicates the person is a confidential informant, and a list of witnesses to the making and acknowledgement of such statements. Number 4, any and all reports or statements of experts or other individuals. So they just want anyone that they're going to interview. Okay. Anyone they're going to be talking, they're like, yeah, we want all of that. All their records, please. Number 5 as well, a statement as to whether the defendant or any other person who participated in the alleged crime was acting directly or indirectly at the investigation or on behalf of the state of Indiana. Interesting language again. Or one of its agents. And if so, state the names and addresses of said individuals. They're like, give it up. Tell us everything you know. Tell us everything you know. Sarah says, G rocked it on Popcorn Planet yesterday. It was yesterday. For me, it was around midnight. So, yep. Yeah, Eclipse says, the craziest is that they have 42 seconds of video. How did people not know it was him, especially after interviewing him prior? Those are the questions people ask, right? Those are the questions. It's like, what? After all that time? It's such a small town, right? I don't know. Okay. And Perfect says, I never understood why those girls couldn't have run away from this guy. Well, my answer to that would be, you don't know how you would respond to trauma, and they might have frozen. But also, he allegedly had a gun. And, because that's apparently from the audio saying, does he have a gun? Is that a gun? So controlling 2 teenagers, a 13 and 14-year-old with a gun and threats, I think he could do it. It must have been really, really scary, So then to point number 6, here we go. Hold on 1 second, please. I just want to see if I need to slow the chat or something. Oh, okay, yes. And also to make sure that you guys, the 42 seconds, I think it's 43 seconds, is it 42 or 43? The 42 to 3 seconds of video they have isn't all of him walking. They only showed us, I think, 2 seconds of it. But they do say they have a whole bunch that was recorded. The recording ends after the down the hill, and then they walk down the hill. So there's some before and some after, but we don't know if the camera was pointed at him the whole time. I don't think so. We don't know exactly what they have. Of course, they're not going to also show us everything. Okay, the chat is good. You guys are now breezing through having, the 2,700 Grizzlies here rather than the 27,000 that one time. Oh, my word. That was crazy. Okay. Number 6, a statement as to any consideration and benefits incurred or offered the state of Indiana has given or intends to give any witness in exchange for his or her testimony, including but not limited to the monies paid, a change of prison accommodations and or workstation, or any state action that could reasonably affect the witness's bias, and disclosure of any and all state action, its agents' actions taken during the time the witness was cooperating. And their answer to number 6 is, at this time, no promises have been made by the state to any witnesses. Okay, so that was good to know. Good to know. And then number 7, the names and last known addresses of persons not intended to be called as the state of Indiana's witnesses, but who have been questioned or interviewed by the state of Indiana or its agents in preparation of the case. Okay, so all of that. Thank you for joining membership. And they say number 7's answer is, this information will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery per local rule. Okay. Number 8, grand jury testimony of a witness once he or she has testified. And they give an example there, of course, referring to a case, Lockridge versus State. Okay. And that says, there was not a grand jury held in relation to this matter. A summary. The request is a summary of any statement or conversation made by or engaged in by the defendant and overheard by any persons known to the state of Indiana, and a list of any witnesses who overheard such statements or conversations, together with any and all reports, documents, correspondence, and or videotapes made or received, together with a statement in writing as to whether there has been any electronic surveillance or recordings of conversation to which the defendant was a party. I hope you guys are following, and I hope you don't find it boring. If you find it boring, let me know. Because I love reading these documents. Like, literally, I could read these like at home, no problem. I just like sharing it with you because here's all the facts, So number 9 said, Any statements made by witnesses and or the defendant will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery per local rule. The state does not intend to draft a summary of those statements or give the defense a summary of the state's opinions or thoughts about those statements. Those statements will be provided to the defense in their entirety. The defense seems to be asking the state to do their work for them and formulate a defense for them. The state objects to the defense's request that the state draft a separate summary of those statements. I must say, it's all sounding all very professional, very well done so far. It's giving me, high hopes for the case. What do you think? Mama Bear says, this is not boring. Okay, thank you. I also tried to make the documents as interesting as possible for you with a tone in my voice and occasional snark where appropriate. Now, number 11, what did they ask for? What did the defense team ask for? 11, all phone records, books, papers, records, tapes. They said, okay, phone records and then records, tapes, documents, photographs, videotapes, and other tangible objects and evidence which the state of Indiana may use in the prosecution of this matter, or which were obtained from or belong to the defendant or any witness, whether as substantive or demonstrative evidence. They're like, give us everything. Just give it all to us, okay? And then like the answer is, this information will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery per local rule. You could see the answer for number 12 is the same, and their request there was a record of arrests, criminal convictions, and juvenile records, which may be used of any witness who may be called by the state of Indiana, including but not limited to the defendant. Very good. They're asking for literally, they've thought of everything. We want this and this and this and this and everything to really prepare for this defense, for the defense team. Caroline says, I'm wondering if a slide whistle would liven up the document readings. Should I do the whistle? A slide whistle. Oh, man. Okay, number 13. We read that, right? What did we? Wait, a record of arrest, criminal convictions, juvie records, okay? So that we have. That was number 13. And their response was, the state objects. Okay, they are objecting to providing criminal records for the defense's witness list, in that the state does not even know who's going to be on their witness list. If the defense requests criminal records of specific people, the state is happy to assist in gathering those records. You know what the good thing is, you guys? Once we've worked through these documents, there's 29 points, right? We're on number 14 over here. Then we'll have all the updates, which is great. I hope so. Because right now it's 4:38 p.m. my time, which means 10:38 Indiana, Delphi, Indiana time. And so it will just be great. We'll read through this. You'll know everything from here. Thank you again to the docket for sending me this document or finding it, watermarking it, sending it. Love it. I've put it on Patreon as well if you want to read through it yourself. So yeah, if you love documents, Patreon's the place to be for that. And let's continue here. So 14. Then we're going to look at the updates. We've got them all pinned here. We're looking at what's happening and WTHR, monitoring that as well. Okay, so 14, the request was true copies of all written case reports and all other written reports, notes, memoranda, maps. Oh, map time. They're asking, you give us your presentations, okay? Your map time, drawings, diagrams, written or drawn or otherwise prepared by the County Sheriff's Department, the City Police Department, Indiana State Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the County Medical Examiner's Office, and any other law enforcement agency or any private individual in connection with or pertaining to the investigation of the crime charged against the defendant. Okay, and their response to that was, this information will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery per local. 14, 15, 16 is the same. So here, 15, a list of dates and times. You can hear they asked for everything, you guys. A list of dates and times that the defendant appeared in any lineups. The defendant appeared in any lineups, either in person or in a photo array. The names and addresses of persons who appeared in each of the lineups or photo arrays with the defendant. The names and addresses of any persons who viewed the lineups or photo array as alleged witnesses or victims, and what each of those persons stated regarding identification after viewing the lineups or photo arrays. And 16, a statement as to whether or not the defendant, any vehicle in which he had an interest, or his residence was searched following his arrest, either with or without a search warrant, and if so, a statement of information contained and the item seized as a result of the search. In addition, if the search was made pursuant to a court-authorized search warrant, produce a copy of the search warrant together with a copy of the return. Further, a statement regarding all areas searched in the investigation of this case, and a statement of information contained and the items seized as a result of the search. If the search was made by a court-authorized search warrant, produce a copy of the warrant together with a copy of the return and a transcription of testimony at the probable cause hearing to obtain the search warrant. If any search was made by consent, produce a copy of the consent to search form. With regards to all searches made in connection with this investigation, produce all reports, receipts, inventories, documents, tapes, and other tangible objects and evidence collected, along with a statement concerning where the evidence is currently stored. Okay, where is it? Yeah. All that stuff they took, right? This information will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery per local rule. As we saw, 14, 15, 16 had the same answer. We're working our way through. Number 17, a statement in writing by the prosecuting attorney, that's Nicholas McClelland, that he has or has no information touching upon any matter of the law or fact favorable to and or exculpatory of the defendant, or a written memorandum of such favorable exculpatory information. And their answer is the state objects. So this is the second time they object. Yes, I would also love to see the search warrant file. So the state objects to said request by the defense. Any information that the state has pertaining to the case will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery, both exculpatory and inculpatory. A memorandum explaining those is outside the scope of discovery. So they'll give it to them but not explain it, right? The defendant's request is essentially an interrogatory asking the state to divulge its legal analysis or impressions of the case and assist the defense in assembling its evidence, which is barred by State Ex Grammar v. Tippecanoe Circuit Court. Now, what's number 18? They want any and all evidence in the possession or control of the state of Indiana or its agents, which may be favorable to the defendant and material to the issue of guilt or punishment, or could reasonably weaken or affect any evidence proposed to be introduced against the defendant, or is relevant to the subject matter of the charge filed herein, or which in any manner may aid the defendant in the ascertainment of the truth. And the answer to that was, this information will be forwarded to the defense as part of the discovery per local rule. So that's again all the way up to 20. Any and all, so they will get this, any and all demonstrative exhibits prepared by the state, its agents or experts, including but not limited to animations, charts, experiments, maps, reenactments. Are they submitting the Grizzly True Crime Map time? Doubtful. 20. Any report by any cellular carrier whose records were obtained to determine the location of where calls originated or were received by the identification of cellular tower sites. And 21, that they're going to give them. 21. Copies of any and all documents and audio or video records pertaining to any completed or ongoing litigation, whether threatened or filed in a court of law, involving the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, Tobe Lesenby, who said that he was once considered a suspect, actually a few times. Remember that? Wow. Okay, so including Tobe Lesenby, Tony Liggett, Michael Thomas, or any other law enforcement or civilian employee who was named as a potential witness or participant in said litigation, including but not limited to any negotiation settlement agreements resulting from said litigation. That was the request 21. And here again, the state objects to this request by the defense. TR 34 states that a request for production has to be for items in the possession, custody, or control of the party upon whom the request is served. TR 26B1 goes on to state that the court can limit discovery if the information is obtainable from some other source that is more convenient, less burdensome, or less expensive. The state of Indiana is not in possession of the information that the defense is requesting. We'll go back and look what that is. Thank you, Rona. Rona said, you could read me the phone book and I'd be mesmerized. Thank you so much. Snivel time. Sniffle. The sniffler. Okay, so sorry to interrupt that sentence. The state of Indiana is not in possession of the information that they're requesting. We'll look again what it is. Nor was the state a party to any lawsuits filed against the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, Tobe Leazenby, Tony Liggett, or Michael Thomas. To impose of the state to have to track all these items down is unreasonably burdensome. In addition, it's the state's belief that this request goes beyond the scope of discovery. There's no reason that the state is aware of where this information would be relevant in any way to the investigation or prosecution of the defendant. And that, everybody, was them asking for copies of any and all documents and audio-video recordings or records pertaining to any completed or ongoing litigation involving the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. Okay. Or a civilian employee who was named as a potential witness or participant in said litigation. Now, 22, we're almost there. We're almost at the end. Copies of any and all personnel files of Tobe Leazenby, Tony Liggett, and Michael Thomas related to their employment with the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. They're like, we want all of that, okay? And they say the state objects to this request. Please incorporate the state's response in number 21 to this response. And then for 24 and 25, they will forward this to the defense as part of the discovery per local rule. Let's quickly look what it is. So this is going to be forwarded a complete list of any individuals who assisted in any way with the investigation associated with the crimes alleged in this case, including the name, address, and contact information of all individuals. And 25 is documentation, photos, videos, and or audio recordings associated with any viewings facilitated by law enforcement authorities at or near the Freedom Bridge or Monon Trail involving persons of interest, suspects, or witnesses associated with the criminal charges lodged against Richard Allen in this matter. All right. The red stiletto says, I object. Raging Wolf says, I call BS on the defense demands. I mean, they're doing a good job, huh? The defense is doing a good job as a defense team. I mean, first, the doubt of like, before the probable cause affidavit was unsealed, they were like, well, what did they say? It was like underwhelming. Like it's just not strong enough. But then when it came out, it was pretty interesting. Yes, that's it, Caroline. Fury, the cat, is really typing, and Gizla is an AI bot fronting for him. Yes. Marilyn says, can you imagine being on this jury? Imagine it. To find an unbiased jury is going to be the biggest challenge, I think, right? Yeah, and Emma says, the defense, gimme. The prosecution, find it yourself. Okay, so 26, we've got 3 more points. Pursuant to Rule 404 of the Indiana Rules of Evidence, you are requested to state the general nature of any evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts of the defendant, or any anticipated defense witness, which the state intends to offer for any purpose, and state which exception the state would rely upon as contained in the Indiana Rules of Evidence Rule 404B for its admission. You are also requested to supply the names and last known addresses of all witnesses that may be called to testify as to any evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts of the defendant, or any defense witnesses, and specify the other crime, wrong, or act to which each witness may be testifying. Now, that was 26, and the response is the state objects to said request. If the state chooses to use any evidence that would fall under Indiana Rules of Evidence, Rule 404B, the state will file notice with the court per the rule. Further, the request by the defendant must be reasonably understandable and sufficiently clear to alert the prosecution that the defendant is requesting pre-trial notification. Abdul Musavir versus State. This request is neither reasonably understandable or sufficiently clear. The request seems to be a blanket request for any and all evidence that may be out there. And I think it is, right? They're like, blanket request on everything. We want everything you got. You tell us what you got. Again, good job on the defense team. They're like, give us everything you've got so that they can see what they'll get and what they'll object to. Okay, so they say that may be out there for the defendant and any defense witnesses which they have yet to name. Nor has the defense asserted any kind of affirmative defense to put the state on notice that character evidence may be at issue. Now, number 27 is pursuant to Rule 404 of the Indiana Rules of Evidence, you are requested to state the general nature of any evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts of any witnesses which the state may call to testify in this matter for any purpose. And they say the state objects to said request. Please incorporate the state's response in number 26 to this response, which is what we just read as well. Tobe's KDK says, Tobe, I must ask you a question, but I'll shave it for later. Got to write that one down for later. Okay. 27. The state objects to said request. We saw that, right? Okay, and they've referred to what we just read above here. And we've got 2 more points, you guys. 2 more points. If you want to buy me a coffee, you know where to do that, right? And if you want to thank the docket for a coffee, you know where to do that, right? It's buymeacoffee.com/the docket for him. Buymeacoffee.com/GizzleK for me. Because damn, these documents. Okay. 28. Pursuant to Rule 405 of the Indiana Rules of Evidence, you are requested to provide the undersigned with any and all relevant specific instances of conduct to be used by the state in cross-examination relative to evidence of character or a trait of character of any person which is material to any of the criminal charges in this cause. And their response is the state objects to this request. Per Indiana Rule of Evidence, Rule 405, the defense must first notify the state that they intend to introduce admissible character evidence and what that evidence is going to be before the state is obligated to disclose what character evidence will be used on behalf of the state. The defense has yet to provide any kind of pretrial notice to the state to require a response. And 29, the last point of this huge discovery motion. A copy of any information collected by or in the possession of the prosecutor or his or her office pertaining to or informing him or her regarding any prospective jurors that might be called to serve in this case. Wow. You tell us those prospective jurors, and they say the state objects to this request. Any information produced by the state would be considered work product and exempt from discovery. Wherefore now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McClelland and files their response to the defendant's request and asks the court to take no action in part and then deny in part the request from the defense and for all other just and proper relief in the premises. There you can see Nicholas C. McClelland signed it, okay, there and there. And just the bottom of this one was also the disclosure and production shall be made without regard to whether the evidence to be disclosed and produced is deemed admissible at the trial herein. All responses shall be reasonably supplemented, corrected, or amended when additional and or different information and material becomes available. Signed by Bradley A. And I would say Rossi, but he says the way to say it is Rosie. Bradley A. Rosie, the counsel for defendant, and he also signs here. Okay. So that was a lot. Let's quickly look here. Richard Allen back in court Friday in the Delphi murders case.
Shame on you, Richard.
That's the clip we saw before. Okay, so the judge is giving the prosecutor and the defense 1 week to agree on a county to select a jury. Woo, big day, big day. All right. This is a breaking update. The previous stories below. The man accused of killing Libby German and Abby Williams was back in court on Friday. A hearing is set in Carroll County. Judge Francis Gull will have a lot to listen to at the hearing. Richard Allen will be in the courtroom in person. They should be, if I guess, finishing up that soon because the next hearing is in 6 minutes, okay? And that next hearing is it's a private hearing, it's sealed, and it's about money, okay? Like funding for the defense team. Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, we looked at that at the beginning of the stream. I could show it again if you guys want. Thank you so much. That's the first thing we looked at right here. But we can look again if they've got something different. But this would be him going into court right here. Okay. So where was I at? It was this one. So the judge will be hearing, they've got a temporary gag order in this case, meaning that lawyers, police, and family members can't talk about the case publicly. And on Friday, she could actually lift that order. I'm not sure if she will. We'll see. Or keep everyone quiet until the case goes to trial. The judge will also hear arguments on a change of venue motion by Friday. So we've looked at all of that, right? Okay. If you could, please don't post other content creator stuff like just Debbie, like you just did there, because then you're redirecting people away from my stream there. So can we just stay here and focus on the Delphi case for now, please? Oh, thank you. Margaret says, Little Dicky was getting yelled at. He really was. He was getting yelled at. Okay, so let's go look here. We refresh. Oh, there's nothing new here. So they're still in there, I'm sure. Huh? We don't see anything new going on here. Damn. No, I don't think... Is Brian Inton there? So here's this one. that Michael shared as well. And let's quickly look at WTHR. Nope, they don't have anything new either right now. Oh, this hearing, they better hurry it up because in the next 4 minutes, they're going to have to do the next hearing, you know? I'm sure they could just shift it a bit, right? Marilyn says, so many cases coming up to trial this year. I know, right? Going to try to keep up with all those. It's going to be difficult. Very, very hard. But we're going to do our best. Okay, I also wanted to tell you guys. Let's quickly do this. You know Kegan Kline? You know Kegan Kline, right? He's also got a trial coming up. Now, his jury trial is coming up in May. So, as far as we know, he has nothing to do with this case. His jury trial has been set for May 10th, 2023. So put that in your calendar as well. At 8 a.m. through May 12th, 2023. And May 15th, 2023 at 8 a.m. through May 19th. So basically 10 to 19. At which time all parties are ordered to appear. So just in case you didn't know that, that has been set. Kegan Kline's trial, his jury trial happening. That's for CSAM charges. Okay? Yes. Okay, so now I wanted to show you that. And then if we quickly go like this, there's not much going on there besides showing them back in court. Okay, so you guys were saying that News Nation also? Okay, let me find you a video to play while I look for things. Always like to do that. Like, what have we got for you? Just hold on 1 second. This one.
Meaningful time, so that's just not something I can comment on.
What do you think about?
This was before the probable cause affidavit was released. So it's an older video, but just have a look in case you haven't seen it yet. These are Richard Allen's attorneys making comments about it.
The prosecutor saying they have good reason to believe that he's not the only one involved in this.
Yeah, those comments certainly caught my ear. But again, it's too early to comment on those kind of things just because we don't really have enough information, and I don't think that's professionally prudent to just start, throwing thoughts around without really having the discovery in its entirety.
Does the PCA? Absolutely, we want the PCA read. Just like my co-counsel Brad said at the end of the hearing, the prosecutor and the police for the last number of years have been conducting press conferences and asking the public for help. Now we're asking for the public for help. You're going to read that probable cause affidavit online or wherever they get it, and hopefully that's going to ring a bell for somebody to help us out, because he is innocent. He has told us that very emotionally. He has thanked us for our help, and we are anxious for the public to read this. We are anxious for this thing to get going, and we'll see. And when you guys read the PCA, presuming that the judge grants our motion, you will have to question, is this what happens after 5 years of an investigation? Is this what it is? We don't have any other evidence. We don't have any discovery. That's all we have, and we are not impressed.
When you say this would help you to get it out, how would that help?
Well, you never know what person out there might read something, and it might ring a bell. It might cause them to point the finger in the direction of the actual killer. This whole business of the two people being involved, the conjecture from the prosecutor today was new information for us. I've been on this case, folks, for 6 days, so I don't know a whole lot. We have not seen the evidence, and another person involved. I mean, that's new. So.
What, if anything, has your client, Richard Allen, said this has impacted him and or his family?
Obviously, this has impacted Richard and his family tremendously. I mean, his wife is just a wonderful person, and she loves her husband. They've been married for over 30 years. They were basically high school sweethearts. They love each other, and she fully supports him, but it is devastating. She's scared. She doesn't want to leave her house. She did leave her house. She thankfully is in a little bit better place than she was a month ago, but this is all new to them. He's confused. He's bewildered. Rick, you guys all call him Richard. He actually goes by Rick. Rick is bewildered. He's confused. He has no idea why this is going on. How can an innocent man be accused of a crime like this and have their life upended? That's the kind of stuff that we've talked about with him. And the same can be said for his wife. How can an innocent man be charged, accused, and basically...
See, they're doing a good job there, the defense, huh? So Brian Enton isn't there. I quickly want to show you this video, which we looked at before from Hoosier Cold Cases, just so that you could see the walk to Monon High Bridge. And they're redoing the whole bridge. I don't know if you guys have seen that as well. You know, I kind of agree with Copfax that was on the show that said he wishes they didn't, so that the jury could actually go and walk there and get a vibe for how this was at the time. But they've changed a lot there. Thank you so much. Okay, so have a look here.
Because I think they consider the south end of the bridge the start of the crime scene officially, which makes sense. I'm not saying that there's other places. There could be, but we don't have any clue about that. We don't know about that stuff. It might, I'm not even hinting at that it's true that there's other crime scenes. I'm just saying the south end of the bridge is where the crime scene starts ultimately. That's where the crime began. Technically, them being abducted at the south end, and then from when they were murdered. Okay, so on your left here, you can kind of see a path right there, and that does take you up into the left. See that barrier on the left? That used to sit at the end of the bridge. And so when you look at the girls' photos from that day, well, Libby's photo of Abby that day, and you see that something here at the end of this spot right here at this end of the bridge, that used to be sitting there. And so that's what.
And if we just pause that was at the end of the bridge. And if you look at the picture of Abby, and then in the background, you could see that, and people were thinking it's a person. So I think that was debunked as this.
What you're saying. But yeah, from the parking lot, see how it's all really bad shape. They fixed some of that here. Well, I hope you join me again for part 2 of.
So this is from a channel, Hoosier Cold Cases, okay? Now I've got updates from one of the reporters there. I'll link this video below afterwards in the comments. So let's look at this update right here. And now, breaking news. Okay, so they say, Dave Bangert, takeaways from this morning's hearing for Richard Allen, accused in the 2017 murders of Delphi teens Abby Williams and Libby German. Judge Fran Gull extends the gag order for attorneys, families, witnesses in the case. And on Richard Allen's hearing, the trial will stay. Damn, the trial will stay in Carroll County. I didn't expect that. Oh, the trial will stay in Carroll County? With a jury selected from another county. The judge gave attorneys on both sides time to select a county that they agreed might work. Both sides agreed it would be impossible to get a jury from Carroll County. Wow. Damn. Early day in Delphi. The hearing this morning for Richard Allen, accused in the 2017 murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Sure. Can you believe it? So those are the updates. That's what we got. That's what we got so far. Okay. So one more time, the trial is going to stay in Carroll County. This judge is like, nope, we're going to keep it here. So very interesting. And they're going to choose a jury, select a jury from another county. The jury selected from another county. The judge gave attorneys on both sides time to select a county that they agreed might work, and both sides agreed it would be impossible to get a jury from Carroll County. And the gag order is extended as expected. So let's go look if Michael's got any updates. Yes. Kathleen says, so maybe there will be a bridge field trip for the jury. Could be. Yes. Yeah, they're going to truck the jury in. Wow. Just one more thing, says 99.9% in cases there's no change of venue. But in such a high-profile case, it's such a tiny, tiny town, like, whoa, you would think so, but no. Richard Allen is now being walked inside the Carroll County Courthouse. We saw this earlier. There's nothing other than that. Yeah, there's no other updates here. Dave was there with the updates. Thank you to the person who sent me Dave's account so I can follow it there too. Yep, this is from 4 hours ago. No other updates here. Okay, but we've got the update there. Damn, okay. I don't know. Are you shocked? Not shocked? I'm not that shocked, except for I did think that they would change the venue. Wow. When is the trial scheduled? Let me quickly look. Get this one, this page. This page is all the details. It's the public courts, indiana.gov. Okay. So, wait. Let me look on the screen here. 1/11/2023. Let's just go here. Motion filed 12/30/2022. Order issued 9/1. Court orders the defendant's supplemental motion for discovery request for Rule 404 and 405. Evidence set for hearing January 13th, 2023 at 10 a.m. The court further orders the defendant's ex parte motion and order authorizing fundings for fact investigator set for ex parte hearing January 13th, 11 a.m. So that's what's happening right now. This ex parte hearing. Okay. And then 1/10/2023, the 10th of, okay, the 11th, the 12th. I'm just looking quickly. And here they say 13/1. This was canceled for 9 a.m. and moved today to 10 a.m. and 11. And the jury trial rescheduled. This was 20 of March 2023. They say 9 a.m. rescheduled. So I don't know when it exactly is. Let's see. Sometime in March. But it could just all be moved. It could all just be. It probably won't be in March. So don't get your hopes up. But this was supposed to happen from March. Just go canceled. And then here we go. The 20th of the 3rd session. Judicial Officer Gull. First setting. We'll see. We must watch the site to get all the updates. Thank you, PD, for spoiling Fury. So yeah, we'll watch for updates. I just quickly want to do one more thing before we go. Ooh, okay. Sorry, I get excited when I get things. What are they saying? People sending me things. I love it. Okay, here we go. Thank you to the person who likes to remain anonymous. Thank you for sending me this. I love it. Okay, decisions made from today's hearing to set the stage in the Delphi trial. Let's just quickly... let's just leave those open. We've got so many things open here, but anyway. Okay, so Carroll County Prosecutor Nicholas McClellan has told the defense and the court what he will and will not agree to surrender to the attorneys representing accused Delphi killer Richard M. Allen. Special Judge Fran Gull will hold a hearing in Carroll County Circuit Court Friday to listen to the arguments regarding a change of venue, a permanent gag order, and a defense motion that lists 29 specific pieces of evidence that the attorneys claim they need to defend their client against charges that he killed Libby German 14 and Abby Williams 13 near the Monon High Bridge on February 13, 2017. I think the defense is doing the right thing in making a list of everything that they haven't been given, so it's in the record, so everyone from here on out can see everything that they have not been given so far, said attorney John Tompkins, who's not connected to the case. You have to see everything. You have to see the entire investigative file. You have to see every interview that was ever done. You have to see every lead, every other suspect, what their sources of information were, so you can see if it was trustworthy and reliable. You have to see the applications for search warrants to see if they were based on hearsay. Noted Indianapolis defense attorney Bob Hammery, also not connected to the case, said the search warrant evidence may be key to quashing any items investigators claim that they took from Allen's house in October. I'd want the search warrant and the affidavit for the search warrant to find out if indeed there was going into the house. That's is legally supportable. That's the first thing I'd want to find out, he said. The prosecutor, if we're going to file charges, then file the evidence. Make it in the discovery. Get it to the defense counsel and let the public see what the evidence is in this case. It just can't rely on the opinion of the prosecutor. In his response to the defense motion, McClellan readily agreed to provide clarification to 18 requests for information regarding the identity of witnesses, statements, case reports, the search warrant, evidence favorable to the defendant, and other items that are typically covered by Indiana trial rules. McClellan represented that there was no grand jury called to hear this case. The prosecutor objected to several other defense requests. McClelland said that he would not provide a statement attesting to exculpatory evidence favorable to Allen, nor a summary of the state's opinions on statements made by Allen or witnesses. Writing, the defense seems to be asking the state to do their work for them and formulate a defense for them. And information about ongoing litigation by a retired Carroll County Sheriff's deputy claiming that he was demoted and targeted for retaliation because he offered an investigative alternative during the early days of the case that was rejected by Sheriff Tobe Lesenby. And the rest we know here. I'm just going to skim here quickly. What are they saying about the clients? I hate that they call it CP. We must call it CSAM. Child Sexual Abuse Material. CSAM, not CP. Okay, and I know legally it's still CP, but you know what I mean. Okay. Against Kegan Kline, a Peru man who is accused of communicating with Libby on social media the night before the murders and arranging to meet her on the bridge that day. All right. So Judge Gull would be hearing the argument. So that we got. All right. Very nice. Thank you for that. One more before I go. Just wait 1 second. Yes. Kathleen Davis says also at least the victims' families from Delphi will be able to attend the trial now, and they will have jurors from another, less exposed jury pool. Exactly. Very, very good point. And the community can attend the trial and his family maybe as well. Yes. Good point. Okay, let's just quickly look at Delphi updates here on Twitter before I go, because sometimes it's like so much news, you know? And then as I go, I'm like, damn it, there it is. Okay. So here you can see the docket. That's what I'm always referring to, you guys, that gets the documents for us. He's a document chaser. He's a Grizzly document hunter. So you can follow him on Twitter here, okay? Chasing Paper 89. He's got the documents here in case you want to see it there. I've also got the whole document on Patreon in its binder format if you want to read it there as well. So now what we do is we retweet this, okay? And here again, we saw him arriving in the court. We haven't seen him leaving the court. Let's just quickly go to latest. Hoosier public defender. The logistics of bringing jurors from another county, housing, food, parking, accommodating jurors with disabilities, etc. I don't get it. I really don't. Wow. And then Sloan Glass says, suspect Richard Allen appears in court today. His eyes were darting around the courtroom. 3 key takeaways. The trial will remain in Carroll County with the jury selected from another county. The judge said it would be impossible to find an impartial jury here. Thank you for sharing my stream. Thank you so much. I love it when you guys do that. And here, 8 minutes ago, Samantha Johnson, who we're following here, says, as for that trial, Judge Gull can't see that happening in March. You see? Told you guys, don't get your hopes up. We've got to be patient. This is a long road. She says parties will discuss a new potential timeline at the bail hearing on February 17th. So that's the next thing. A bail hearing will happen on February 17th. Right now, he's got no bail, no bond. From what I understand, although they did at some point say, wait, there's a $1.5 million bond. So I don't know if that just sounds like no bond because it's so high. Actually, interesting. I've got to check that. But here they say there will be a bail hearing because they want a more reasonable bail and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Rando Robin, for sharing my stream. You guys are the best. You see what they do. You see what they do. Here's an example, you guys. You share the stream. Delphi, hashtag Delphi. Hashtag Justice for Abby and Libby. Hashtag Grizzly True Crime. That's awesome. Very nice. Okay, and Rich Nye says bail hearing February 17th. The parties will discuss new possible trial date. All agree this case will not be ready for trial in March as scheduled. Yep. Exactly. Now let's go to this guy real quick and make sure we follow this guy right here. Rich Nye. Shout out to Rich Nye. We're following you now. Sorry about that we weren't before. 22 minutes ago, judge says that Richard, I like to see them all, in case you're like, this is all the same. Now, I like to cross-reference here, okay? Are they all saying the same thing? Yes, indeed. The judge says that Richard Allen, hashtag Delphi Murders, trial should stay in Carroll County with a jury from another county. The prosecution and the defense will agree on what county in the next week. The gag order stays in place. The judge asked lawyers to keep cooperating on the discovery. Bail hearing, February 17th. I better write that down. Parties will discuss new possible trial date. All agree this case not ready for trial in March as scheduled, which is why it's cancelled like that. The public hearing lasted about 10 minutes. The courtroom gallery then cleared for private hearing on ex parte matters, including money for the defense expert witnesses. Okay, and I'm sure later there'll be footage of him leaving the court as well. We don't have it right now. So, you guys, those are the updates for today. Not shocked that the gag order has been extended. Not surprised. Surprised that the venue is going to be staying there, Carroll County. Damn. And then the bail hearing, February 17th. I'm going to be writing that down. I've got notebooks everywhere. So I'll find my diary and write it down and put it in my phone as well. And, we'll be here together. So if you are only following me for the Delphi case coverage, make sure that you are subscribed and hit the bell so that when there's more updates or more footage from today or whatever, you'll see those updates. And then if you follow me in general, even if you just lurk in while you're working, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell. You never know when I'm going live next. You never know. Will it be later today? Will it be tomorrow? I'm a pretty busy lady. So you see me quite often. Okay, let's just save that. You can now subscribe for any duration, not just 1 minute as I play my outro. I always try to do that. As the outro is playing, I see lots of people who are shy subscribe during that time. Van Lichim says, it's the end of the stream. Right? So yes, I still want to keep you guys updated on that Anna Walsh case. I am watching it. I'm following it very closely. I'm just waiting for lots of info so I can bring that to you. So that might be my next update, depending on what happens also in all the other cases that we're following. And then trials coming up. Alec Murdoch's trial is coming up soon. So go catch up on that playlist too. Okay, I've also got one for you there. Go catch up on that so that, when we go over those things, then at least you've watched what I've already presented to you. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for all the super chats and super stickers, for becoming members. Peter Pronzo says, Gizzler, Energizer, AAA, Bunny, right? Yes. Lurking in the house. Thank you, lurkers, for watching at work. You know what I mean? Thank you very much. And thank you, mods, patrons, members. And yes, we'll do a snarky, like a members and patrons only stream again soon. And thank you so much. Bye-bye.